land because it's too big. They have 35,000 employees, and compared to the other two factories, it night and day. You couldn't compare them. After our trip to the Wuliang rice liquor factory, we went to a fermented vegetable factory. There we were shown how this kind of mustard green is fermented for about 3 months in these deep pits, and this vegetable is then packaged and used in all different kinds of cuisine, and it was fantastic. On day 11, we went to this place called the Bamboo Sea. The Bamboo Sea is essentially a forest of bamboo. It's about 20,000 acres, and we rode these gondolas up the mountain where we got a view of these 20,000 acres in this valley. So we rode in these gondolas 2 by 2 up the side of a mountain, and we also got to climb this watchtower that overlooked a small village on top of the mountain, as well as the valley with all different varieties of bamboo, not just one, but all 80 that actually exist. Aside from the sightseeing at the Bamboo Sea, we also got to go hiking in the forest. While we were in the forest, we wound along this stone red path and came to a lake. The path actually ended at the lake, and you had to use these bamboo rafts to get across to the other side to continue our hike. We ended up going for a little paddle on the lake and then continuing our hike afterward. It was a really good time. And as the hike continued, we came to this cliff that actually had a path that wound along it, and we basically walked along the side of this massive red rock cliff overlooking a valley of rice paddies, and it was gorgeous. On day 12, we were in the city of Zhejiang and went to see 2 different salt mines. The first was actually a salt museum, and the second was a salt mine where they demonstrated how they bring up salt water from the wells that are meters and meters underground, and how they then boil that salt water to obtain the salt. On day 13, we spent the day alongside this really beautiful river, and we did some shopping and saw some pretty views, and we also went out for lunch and had duck. And at lunch there was this man deboning eels, and it was a little gross, but it was interesting to see how they do it for a restaurant. After that, we went to a tea house which was on the river, and a lot of us sat at tables and played mahjong, while others walked along the river or just lounged in chairs, and it was just a really pretty view and a really nice afternoon. On day 14, we went to this huge market. They had everything from spices to vegetables I've never even seen before. There was a whole butcher alley where they had any kind of meat you could think of, and they also had a ton of fish, which they would kill right there when you picked it out. Day 15 was a travel day for us. We got all our stuff together and took a flight from Chengdu to Xi'an. Xi'an was one of the former capitals of China for something like 76 dynasties. And when we were there, we went down this street that was crowded because it was a holiday weekend, as their equivalent of the Chinese Labor Day. We also went and had a dumpling feast, and it was really good. Day 16 was our day traveling to see the famous terracotta warriors. I don't think any of us really realized how many of them there were, but all the warriors that are there are modeled after actual warriors that a general, when he died, wanted to have real warriors buried with him. This was his substitute, was to have hundreds of terracotta warriors built in their likeness. Day 17 was another travel day for us. We went and saw the Xi'an city wall before we left Xi'an. And at the city wall, it's the most complete city wall in China, and it's about 8.5 miles long, and a few of us actually rode tandem bikes along it the entire distance. On day 18, we went to Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden Palace. I don't think any of us actually realized how big the palace was, but it was divided into two different parts where it was just the women and